All right, let's do this. Greetings, everyone. I go by MDawg, and I am the person behind MDawg Gaming. This very small, which direction is it going to be in? Up there somewhere. Oh, I'm like crooked. It's so weird. Anyway, this very small YouTube channel, and I am today making a video about board games and crowdfunding. Although I wanted to start, since this is the first time I have ventured into this space, I wanted to start by talking about just briefly my channel and also my expectations or desires even for this video and possible future videos that could be similar. So the main thing that I do on my channel is as you can see, I'm run this very small channel, but I have a very dear community, most of which has to do with a simulation game that is on the PC called Russian Fishing 4, RF4. So if you scroll through my channel, a lot of my videos have to do with these fishing games, right? I also just happen to, I play a few other games as well, but I also just happen to love board games. And in my real life, away from being online and computer games, when I have the chance, I play a lot of board games with my family, occasionally with friends, and sometimes even just solo experiences. And I really love that, and I enjoy talking about board games. And I am fascinated by crowdfunding and board games. So that is what has led me to today, where I've actually decided to take a step towards seeing if I would want to make this type of content moving forward. I want this to be a conversation. I don't know how valuable my voice is in this space. I am no expert, as you will soon see. I am certainly not a professional commentator in any way, shape, or form. I just really enjoy board games, and like I said, have a interest in both the positives and I think some, I don't know if I say negatives, but concerning aspects of how wrapped up into the crowdfunding scene board games sometimes feels like it is getting. But that being said, let's move on from there. I guess I just want to say, please let me know if this is enjoyable content. I really don't know with the algorithm. I don't put out this content, so this may not show up on anyone's radar who's actually looking for, Kickstarter, GameFound, crowdfunding, board game information. But in case it does, let me know. Is this, what do you think of this content? Is this sort of meeting my goal of really just wanting to have a conversation, share my limited thoughts, and talk about my limited experiences with some of this, and then sort of invite you to let me know what you think. And in this video in particular, we're going to be looking at, let's see, 4 or 5 campaigns that I think is actually making up a very compelling month of March here in 2024 when it comes to crowdfunding board games. And yeah, I'm just going to talk about them. We're going to look at them. One of them just launched today, so I haven't even had a chance to see the page yet. I thought that would be fun to view that in real time today. So I did want to start off with talking about, just for what it's worth, the most recent crowdfunding project that I actually did back was Dante Inferno, and I have passed, this was Creative Game Studio, I have passed over and over on boss battlers, and I've always been interested, kind of come close to either, getting at retail or even backing a boss battler. And for some reason, I've just not ever taken the plunge. And I don't know that I even can tell you what it was about Dante Inferno that convinced me to take the plunge. but 36 unique boss battles, gripping campaign. Unlike a lot of people, I think, in the board game space, I actually am interested in campaigns, but that's because I've resisted campaigns for a long time, not knowing if I had the capacity to engage with them. So if I'm really choosy about it, a campaign is not necessarily it's actually something very appealing to me. Same with Legacy. Campaign or Legacy, that actually makes me interested as long as it's something that really appeals to me. It also, I think with these Coliseum Arena showdowns, has the potential of like meaningful one-shot battles that adds to your overall experience as you unlock things. And then a lot of cool stuff released throughout this very successful campaign in February that ended with, I guess, 1.5 million. So I didn't go all in by any means because some of it seems, anyway, I'm mostly focused on gameplay and sort of found a way to get Dante Inferno without, without going too deep. So this was one thing another thing, you think about pedigree of the developer. So the designer here, Carvalho, and I'm going to be terrible at pronouncing names, but anyway, he does have a good pedigree. Everything that I've heard from folks who did get to check it out during the campaign, it just sounded really positive. So that was the one game I backed in February. We'll see how that goes. 2 years from now? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so the first campaign I wanted to look at today for active campaigns as I start thinking about March. So my son and I started looking at board game Kickstarters and GameFound. By the way, I think all of them today that we're looking at actually are Kickstarter, which is so unusual because in recent months, GameFound has really been dominating a lot of the campaigns that I even were somewhat interested in, but today, it just happens to be month of March, at least so far. This is the beginning of March, by the way. It's March 4th. March could even get more crowded as we move into the second half. And I don't know if there's any interest or if I end up looking back fondly upon this experience of making this video, then maybe we'll even have to have a second update video in March. But there are 5 campaigns that I want to look at as I think about if I do back something in March, it would likely, at this point at least, come from these selections. I would say this is the least likely. This is kind of the dark horse. I wasn't even going to include it, but I've played the video game and, it's interesting. So let's go ahead and watch at least some of this video. I don't know how long it'll be, but we'll kind of watch a little bit of it and talk about it briefly, and then we'll scroll and move on to the next campaign. But let's see, Dying Light from Tomala is the last name, and Zub are the 2 designers, and we'll dig into that a little bit more. Why don't I see the publisher? Oh, Glass Cannon Unplugged. Sorry about that. All right, let's check this out.
Run. When prophets drafted out the apocalypse, I bet they never pictured it being this wild.
That might have been really loud. Sorry about that.
Whether it's your last sunset, makes it that much more thrilling to face the terrors of the night. Rule number 2: no matter how good you think you've become at holding your own, the next wake-up call is just around the corner. Rule number 1: don't even think you can go at it alone. Greetings from the capital of humanity. Drop by for the sights, stay for the nightlife. And if you're here for the full package, wait till we go unplugged. Nightlife. And if you're here for the...
Yeah, so just seeing that makes me wonder, what could they possibly be charging for this campaign? There's got to be at least, 300 plus pledge. I could be wrong, but that's just a lot of content that I'm seeing. I don't know how big that box is, but okay. So let's see if there's any final screens here that's interesting.
Go unplugged.
I think that's going to be the last screen. Yeah, that's cool. Well done video, I think. So this is Glass Cannon. Have they done anything else on Kickstarter? 3 created. Oh, you know who what they did was, yeah, Frostpunk. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I skipped Apex. I actually skipped Frostpunk. If I could go back, I think knowing what I know now about what I enjoy and all of that, I would be a little more tempted by Frostpunk. I don't remember what they were charging in that campaign, but that would be a little bit more tempting these days, I think. So, is there anything that stands out about Dying Light? I mean, you see it's going to get compared by, it looks like Adam Smith from Rolling Solo. It's going to get compared to Zombicide right off the get-go here at the top of the campaign page, which Dying Light, of course, wants to be compared to Zombicide in terms of Zombicide's success, at least. There are a lot of zombie board games available, but Zombicide's the one that I guess would come to mind for most folks first. So when I think of the video game, I think of the parkour and combat, it says right there. But in the video game, there's so much about movement. I'm really curious, how do you simulate that part of the experience in the board game space? It looked like there was a lot of dice rolling, and perhaps that is how you do it. But it's not just about combat with the zombies. It's much more about moving around the board, using the environment, especially when it gets to nighttime. Nighttime in the Dying Light universe is a scary thing. Some good quotes here. Sense of Dying Light, the video game, which makes it feel different than other zombie games out there. So both comparing to Zombicide, but also trying to distinguish between Zombicide. I would think that it would be pretty different. Zombicide is actually a huge hole in my board game experience. I've never played Zombicide, so making that comparison actually doesn't mean that much to me. My understanding is that Zombicide is just sort of a fun beer and pretzels kind of board game with miniatures, but that doesn't necessarily like dial into memories or anything like that for me comparing it to Zombicide, but it's such a successful game, it makes sense why they would do that. So I think the only thing I'm curious about is what we're talking about with price. I mean, I think, you know, if you're into this kind of game, it's probably worth looking a little more, you know, closely at. Let's check out the developers really quick before we go further. Let's just see if either one of them have a pedigree. Not that that's like the only thing that matters, but okay, so at least Zub, last name Zub, does have, looks like one game and an expansion. It is highly rated. I'm not familiar with Zerwia at all. 3.36 weight. People are estimating 2.0, but that is very, I mean, I don't know that has any meaning at all because so few people have played it. Okay, so is there anything else we want to know besides price? Well, let's find out price, and also I guess I'm wondering structure. Is there a campaign? I mean, that could be, you would think in this kind of game there would be. There's so much narrative in the video game, but let's see. 1 to 4 players, so it does have solo, that's nice. You're playing as runners, exploring the city of Villador. Adrenaline-fueled parkour and combat system, survival genre. So it's either cooperative or true solo, so that's nice. We're not trying to do too many things in one package. It does have some Kickstarter exclusives. I would imagine this goes to retail with having the Dying Light IP. We're going to have to do some conversion here, but in terms of euros, we're looking at, for the deluxe pledge, 160. Probably not many folks getting the standard pledge because typically you just see a lot more people getting the deluxe pledge. I was trying to make sure we do have it set to, I couldn't remember what Kickstarter does in terms of like by default, does it go to a certain, okay, here we go. So, okay, here we can see it over here. Where were we? Here we go. Standard pledge, $66, so about the same as the Euros, and then $120 for the deluxe pledge. There is going to be, no, that's it. How about that? I guess I have gotten so jaded because of Kickstarter and GameFound, I mean crowdfunding prices in general, skyrocketing in this last year, that I looked at that picture up at the top and I just assumed we're headed towards $300. But there still could be add-ons. I mean, we still may not be fully understanding yet what they're offering. So this deluxe pledge comes with 4 runners and base rings in the core box, stretch goals, and a miniature expansion. Sorry, and an expansion. I don't know how miniature it is. Infected miniatures. So this is what it looks like. That's huge. That's a ton of like cardboard, I guess. It looks like a lot of cardboard. Some miniatures. You can see the standees from the standard version. That's actually really cool. I'm glad I've looked at this because what I'm seeing in this is actually value. Again, that's influenced by how expensive things have gotten lately, but I wasn't expecting that. So you want to dig in more to exactly what you're getting. Here are the stretch goals. I feel like we're just, pretty good scroll so far. I don't feel like there's a lot of wasted space. They're giving us the information we want. So we've got the game funded, the first Pilgrim bundle. So this is probably what's going into the, exclusive add-on box or whatever that they're creating during this campaign. So this has got some cards, tokens, night activation chips. So that's going to have to do with the gameplay at night. That is one thing I don't feel like, I could have missed it, but I don't feel like we've seen too much about the gameplay itself. But we might get there. All right, more stuff that's been unlocked. And this one even was miniature, it looks like, if you have the deluxe pledge, or standees if you don't. Same thing with that. So when they hit 300K, they unlocked the bandit leader. Airdrop number 1. Looks like there's something you can vote on. That's cool. A new runner. The Ronin pack. New infected spitter. Here's a couple more airdrops. So here is a Kickstarter exclusive. Unique charm card, unique weapon card. There's the Fire Devil bundle. That looks like a new character or enemy type. I'm not sure which. New enemy sculpt. There was another vote. 550, they hit a new runner. And 600 is what's coming next. Based on the picture. Oh, yeah. So the picture is showing us it's going to go inside that box. I'm just guessing. I mean, that's what I'm, without digging too deeply or taking too long, that's what I'm guessing. I've got to speed up. How long have we been going? 18 minutes. This is one thing, like, it's so easy for me rambling to turn into a 2-hour video, and that's not what I'm going for today. 1 hour at the max is my hope. All right, so now we're seeing all the runners. Here's all the dice. It's interesting. We've got runner dice, parkour dice, and combat dice. And then more dice. Lots of dice. Lots of dice. Choose your runner. Okay, are we in gameplay here? No, we're still components. 8 double-sided board tiles. So that's important. You need to think about, looks like they're pretty good size board tiles, but this does impact replayability or variety, I guess. 27 buildings of different size and shape. I really hope that these are carefully thought out in how they either pop up or fold over. They're going to be some sort of folding over and tucking in. I've just seen these types of components before not work perfectly, and that can, if you have a little OCD in you, that can really get to you. 20 walls of different sizes, 1 round tracker board, 36 exposure cards, 100 plus other game cards, NPCs, factions, infected attacks, and other 124 large scenario cards. Okay, scenario. This is the closest we've gotten to understanding some of the variability in terms of, I don't know if it would be campaign or whatever, but some sort of scenarios, it looks like. Lots of tokens, rule book, and scenario book. So there it is again. So whether you call it campaign or not, you're going to be playing through something that will be somewhat changing the experience, you would think. A campaign, so there's the word, map organizer. I love it. That feels like if you need a map organizer from gameplay to gameplay, then there is something meaningful happening. All right, what is this showing us? Oh, okay. Well, this might answer my question. A little bit at least. How do they assemble? Pop up, slide in. Yeah, that's great. That actually does help. That helps me a lot at least. Okay, we've got the biters, virals, volatiles. Do these come out at night? Probably. Howlers, goons, demolisher, revenant, banshee, bandits. All right, here's gameplay. I'm not gonna, you can read this if you want to. We've got too many campaigns today for me to like read the whole thing, but I like that there is some narrative, some lore building, world building. It seems to be happening. Okay, you navigate, gathering resources, establishing footholds, and exploring dark zones, trying to find hidden stashes. Actually, that sounds really cool. Risk dice, enemy spawns, momentum loss, damaging the gear you're using. The key to survival is to cooperate and adapt. Between scenarios, there's a special outpost phase. Enhance skills, dice, acquire new equipment, repair existing gear, heal, and enhance the city map with a variety of terrain features. So that's why you need that book to keep up with what's going on the map. They can also influence subsequent scenarios in meaningful ways by using a wide range of services and abilities provided by NPCs who can join the hub during the course of the campaign. This War of Mine or Frostpunk. So there you go. That's cool. Develop your runner. Use your skills. Air kick. Hit the tempo. But risk being exposed. Collect equipment. There are so many things about this game that is actually interesting to me that I'm liking the look of. I both am glad that I decided to include this campaign at the last minute, and I'm also a little scared that I included this campaign. I don't know. This gives me a lot to think about. So the core gameplay is rolling action dice, assigning them to an action track, using boost symbols. You're using it to combine it with, I think, cards maybe that represent the parkour skills. Parkour? I'm having a hard time saying parkour today, and that's really sad since we're talking about Dying Light. Okay, so we are at least getting a little bit better view of gameplay now. An overview at least. Makes sense in Dying Light there would be a day and night cycle. I think the last thing I want to know is how much is shipping. I'm already pretty amazed at the price given where we are in crowdfunding these days. Okay, we do have a how to play and a preview video. Preview. Full gameplay. You love to see that. Gameplay. Okay, another gameplay. That's good. Add-ons and expansions. So windmill expansion does not come. Okay, so this is where we were wondering. The windmill expansion. It adds that miniature. It costs just under $40 probably, something like that. Comes with a scenario. It's a side mission. Ledges, fall damage, challenges, dark hollows. Okay. Kyle Crane expansion. This one's cheaper. This is a Kickstarter exclusive. This one is not a Kickstarter exclusive. And this just comes with a miniature, a character card. This might just be a new runner. The acrylic standees add-on. I like acrylic standees. I guess, maybe we'll check really quick. If the only difference in the standard and deluxe is the miniatures, and then you could go acrylic standees instead of miniatures, like that is kind of cool. It's not that high of a price tag, and that's probably because there's not that many characters. There's a few enemy types, but runners, there's just a few runners, right? All right, there's the add-on sleeves. Again, pretty competitive price if you're wanting to sleeve your game. Preview from several folks, I'm sure. Some non-English previews, love to see it. Production. Does it? Yeah, June 2025 is their estimation. 9 to 10 months, so it'll probably be 15 to 18 months. But you never know. I've had some be on time. All right, they are going to include through the pledge manager, pay-as-you-go kind of thing. I think these are typically no interest, but it's a way to break it up month to month. Okay, shipping. Shipping will be processed in the pledge manager a few months post-campaign when you can do add-ons. So for USA, the deluxe pledge, again, somewhere around $20. That is very competitive. Now, I don't know how much the box weighs, and I like that they talk about the people behind it. This is great. I am impressed. Can we just double check? Didn't they have a really nice layout of deluxe versus... I never dreamed I would spend this much time on this campaign. But here we are. Reality is we have done it. We can't turn back now. Standard pledge. Okay. The only difference is the miniatures. Unless I'm missing something, we can double check us over here too. You have board game, stretch goals, weapon charm, and then you've got these add-ons. Board game, stretch goals, weapon charm. What is the glass smasher weapon, and why don't we have it up here? I don't know, but I'm sure it's nothing significant. I mean, not that it's not significant, but I don't know that that's a reason to change our mind. They don't have an all-in pledge. If they're going to add additional add-ons during the campaign, then an all-in pledge will probably come eventually. If they're not, then they may just not add one. 60 to 90 minutes, 14 plus 1 to 4 players. Okay. I've got to reset my brain here, but I am really impressed with this campaign. Much more so than I was expecting to be. So kudos to them. Okay. So let's quickly look at Cascadia Rolling Hills. This was actually the campaign that I was thinking about not talking about at all. And that's not a diss on this. I actually think this could be very cool, but the other campaigns are just a little more in my face right now in terms of what I'm looking at. I like Cascadia. Roll and writes are okay for me. This one in particular does look pretty good. You've got 2 separate games here, 2 boxes, Rolling Rivers, Rolling Hills. There are differences. You'd have to dig in deeper than I've dug in to actually understand the difference. But I know that in each box, no matter which one you get or if you get both, you get 4 different sheets in each box that play supposedly dramatically different. Dramatically might be overselling it, significantly different, to the point where you almost feel like you have just a lot of variability in one sort of small roll and write box. Uses somewhat similar mechanisms to the board game, Cascadia board game, though again, how you're using that collection of animals and different different habitat types varies based on which sheet you're playing with. A lot of positive things people have said. Just real quick, price wise, we're looking at $19 for one. I think it's $35 for both. Yeah, $35 for both, just in terms of US dollars. Shipping obviously is going to be very reasonable because it's a fairly light thing to ship. They are subsidizing shipping, at least where they can. If you get both games, you're only paying $9, and that's whether or not actually you get one or both. So they're once again pushing you towards that $35 price range for both games, plus $9 shipping, puts you at 44 USD. And they are going to be offering some of their other games in the Pledge Manager, Calico, Cascadia, Verdant, Cascadia expansion, Point City, Deep Dive, Fit to Print, and Nocturne. So that is Cascadia Roll and Write, designed by Randy Flem, artist Beth Sobel, Flat Out Games. And did Randy Flynn design Cascadia? Of course. I thought so, but just making sure. And also Tabriz, another highly thought of game, fairly lightweight. We are known for fairly lightweight games, and of course the wonderful art by Beth Sobel. 110 games. Wow. Okay, so let's roll on. We've got 2 campaigns left. Again, me not sticking on Cascadia for longer is not a reflection upon Cascadia. I mean, I think if you're a Cascadia fan or a Roll and Write fan, this is a pretty easy sell if you enjoy, being a part of the Kickstarter or GameFound, or I guess just backing these types of projects. This is not, this is a pretty easy sell if you fit into those categories. All right, so there's a couple games that we need to look at that I have had my eye on for quite a while, especially this one. The last campaign that just launched today, I actually haven't had my eye on that long, but in the past month, of course, if you go to Board Game Geek or watch any sort of YouTube content, a lot of people have been talking about it. But before we get to Galactic Cruiser, let's talk about Floe. I think this is a pretty short video. We should be able to do this. No, it's not a short video, but let's just watch a little bit of it. I think would only be fair to get a little bit of the graphical experience of watching some of this trailer.
Our Crystal Kingdom, once a marvel with its splendor and riches unrivaled. Then came the curse, a darkness that shattered the great crystal dome, bringing our kingdom to ruin. Engulfed in ice, it became a legacy frozen in the past. Today, many of us descendants enjoy a peaceful life at the edge of the iceberg sea. To handle the cold, we savor fiery red kelp at the noodle bar and enjoy long soaks in the steamy wading pool. But alas, whispering winds and furled sails call. The bravest of us set out to find rare materials and lost treasures, and to rediscover our forgotten lands. Drawn to the remnants of our crystal dome, some will even delve into the perilous caves below, where fearsome creatures lie in wait. Welcome to Floe.
The art looks great.
Of crystalline beauty, shadowed by chilling mysteries.
I do like the sort of partnership, hero and familiar. That's cool. Build your neighborhood. This looks like just new places where this is going to be a worker placement game, at least to a degree. New places where you can send your workers. I'm thinking This is what I'm sort of reading between the lines here. Or at least, maybe not. Maybe it just they have ongoing effects. You can just tell that like they allow you to do certain actions. Whether you have to use workers or not, I'm not sure. Definitely adventure game feel. What does that remind you of? Player order? Maybe? Maybe not. That might have been action. Sorry. I've looked a little bit into this game, but not like into the weeds, like details. That was probably action selection. Swindy the Merchant. It's kind of amazing to me we're this far into the video and they are still introducing new parts of this game. Like, we've seen exploration. We've seen a little bit of monster fighting. We've seen treasure hunting. We've seen city building to a degree. We're now looking at visiting landmarks. Just, again, like wide open adventure feels. Dice. This is the combat again, I think. That's so cool. That is a really cool looking character board. That's scoring, I think. Oh. Unlock dynamic gameplay content. I knew this game had something like this where you play the game with probably what already feels like an overwhelming amount of content, but then you sort of master that, you get used to it. It's not going to be as complicated as it seems. You know, it's a lot of the steps, things you can do are probably fairly straightforward, easy to understand. But as you play the game, it looks like you unlock these envelopes. I think those are envelopes. And you expand the game. More of the game becomes available to you as you play. Oh, open it. Let's see what's inside.
Pika Games, Fantasia Games' latest venture, excels in crafting inviting, thematic strategy games with outstanding artwork and top-notch production. Floe, our first title, pushes the boundaries of an adventure-style Eurogame hybrid to the next level, with a dynamic unlocking system that broadens your experience with each play. Plus, the Monsters Unleashed expansion adds colossal monster miniatures, new heroes and familiars, captivating gameplay scenarios, and a challenging co-op mode. Join us now as we go with the Floe.
Wow, I did not realize some of that, like the co-op being a part of that expansion. Okay, we are at 38 minutes. Our new goal is to be done before an hour and 10 minutes. All right, let's see what we've got here. First of all, let's just talk about Floe, designed by, there's two people here that we just need to mention. Actually, there's three. So this is Pika Games, who is associated with another company, and I might not be able to figure it out yet. Oh, I will be able to in just a minute. I know how this will work. So first of all, we've got Henry Audubon. Parks, really well-respected game that I have not tried. Trails, Space Park, Cosmo, Octopus, Kingswood, and Parks Wildlife. So who put out Parks? Keymaster Games. Johnny Pack, Top Games, Unconscious Mind, lead developer for Fantasia Games, and Floe is Pika Games, which is a subsidiary under, my understanding is that it's underneath Fantasia Games. So, Johnny Pack was involved with Unconscious Mind, which I did back. I am super excited to get this one in. This was like the Euro game of last year, of all of the games that I looked at to support in the sort of crowdfunding process. Has it been more than a year ago? However long ago it was, that was the one that I decided to probably be the most excited about in terms of like Euro games especially. But I thought that if we go to his games by rank, so I've never played Merchant's Cove, though heard decent things about it. I thought he wasn't, yep, there it is. So Endless Winter, where's the base game? Am I just missing it? Let's just go this way to Endless Winter Paleo Americans. So I actually really like this game, but I think for me, because this is the one of his that I've played. Oh, so was he just involved in the expansions? Is that why this wasn't listed under his actual name? His being Johnny Pack? Anyway, I was thinking that, not that Floe and Endless Winter would be similar, but it is one thing. When I first started learning Endless Winter, there are a lot of things going on. And you sort of have that sense of like, man, there's so many different places you can go, so many different things you can do. I've actually been playing this one solo and having a blast. I like Endless Winter. So I guess what I'm saying is, I know for me, the aspect of Floe where there's a lot going on isn't necessarily something that completely pushes me off of it. So it looks like Yoma, the third developer listed, was also involved in Unconscious Mind. Did not realize that. So that's cool. So those are the designers involved. And then we have Yoma both doing designing and art. And then, of course, Andrew Bosley, who the cute graphics from Everdell, but many other games as well. I mean, you see Andrew Bosley is one of probably, for me at least, I don't know, 5 names when I see that they're doing the art that I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay attention. Tapestry, Everdell, 2 of the ones that really stand out. So anyway, let's go back to Floe. And let's dig in a little bit. 1 to 4 players, 1 to 2 hours, 12 plus. I like that they list all of the things that it's about, but it's about so many things. This is also helpful. You don't see this very often. This is not Take That. This is not Point Salad. You saw the points. It looked like 1st to 6, maybe 1 or something like that. It's not a small board, and there's no graphic violence. It's not a legacy game. So how are they distinguishing? Maybe just saying that it's modular and you have unlocks? I don't know. It feels legacy to me, but not in the strict traditional like legacy style, and it's not historical. Yeah, obviously I got it. Solo, co-op, competitive, modular, inclusive, accessible, 4X style sandbox. I don't really have a sandbox style game if I'm looking for another like reason to think about this. The closest I came is I almost backed, oh man, I'm not going to be able to remember it. Hold on, let me check something really quick. I can think of it. I mean, I can get there because it's one of the few games that I backed for $1 and then never ended up backing it. And it was called, man, sorry, we'll get there eventually. It's like, again, the closest. In fact, I think the pledge manager for this one is still up. Stone Saga. Stone Saga is what it was called. I didn't even get there. I remembered before I got to it. But Stone Saga is the other sandbox game that I almost backed. All right, so we're going to just scroll. Tier analysis. So some things are exclusive to the Pika's direct sales, and some will be included in some of their partner sales. So I think what that means is they're not willing to say that anything on this page is 100% Kickstarter exclusive, but it's not like it's going to be widely available in retail, especially if it has that P on it. Okay, so 70 for Explorer, and that gets you all of the stretch goals plus the standard version of the game. Adventurer tier is $85. You get the deluxe version of the game, all of the stretch goals, and I'm sure a digital soundtrack. The Floe Hero, $115, which again, it's a lot of money, but it comes with the Monsters expansion, which did sound interesting. Or the all-in, it looks like, is the Epic Hero, which is frankly just $30 more. It's interesting, the strategies these days of like pushing you towards the all-in. Again, this is counting Dying Light, I would say this is 2 campaigns in a row that aren't as expensive as some of the other campaigns have started to be recently. I like that they have a calendar for the campaign, overview and gameplay. It does say that it's not a story-driven adventure because it's sandbox. Players are introduced to game's rule set through a series of introductory games and that serve a dual purpose. They can gradually introduce the game to you, or you can go back to it and use it as a lighter version of the game. I think that sounds cool. It's a lot of table space in this picture, but I've got a couple other games that have at least that much table space going on. So, I mean, that seems manageable unless you're playing on a very small table, or a smaller table. I shouldn't say very small. So, beyond the introductory games, it looks like there's a dynamic unlocking system that is tied to the player's collective progress. You open envelopes with secret content that can enrich the game even more. Changes to rules, modules that offer a whole new set of rules, and new lore fragments of Floe's history. So that's cool, but it looks like this is where like the significant mechanics will change as they're adding new aspects to the game in the introductory games. And then the envelopes are just going to be tweaks to the rules, maybe new cards, that kind of thing, is my guess. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. So here is gameplay described. And I think, if you're really looking at backing this, it's worth getting into the weeds. I'm just trying not to get into the weeds right now. I would show off that player board too if I was you. All right, so lots of how to play, rule book, playing the game, playthroughs. Why is it on Kickstarter? I like the game trays. What stretch goals have they actually been unlocking in this campaign? A lot of product analysis. You can tell the longer this campaign's been going, the more details they are giving us, which is cool. Okay, Floe funded. Warmth and dice markers with glitter, 2 secret goals, encounter cards, green monster card, monster die glitter, 2 secret goals, encounter card C. Wow, lots of unlocks. This is really cool. I mean, it's neat to see the stuff that has been unlocked. So next we're at screen printed switches would be next. So many things. Previews. I've actually watched some of these previews as I was looking at things. And shipping, once again, not too bad compared to what we've seen recently. One more breakdown of the different tiers you can support at. So very cool. Really neat campaign. Okay. Let's go to the last campaign. Like I said, Galactic Cruise. It's already doing well and it just launched. So I am going to start this video. Give me 1 second.
Tired of this same old boring vacation?
Okay. All right, and I'll be right back.
Ready to take a trip you'll never forget? Something truly out of this world? Introducing Galactic Cruise, the first company to offer luxurious vacations in space. Blast off with us into the stars.
Welcome to Galactic Cruise. Our CEO, Travis E. Preston, is retiring, and he's looking for his replacement. Will you be the one to take the company into the new era? As supervisors, it is your responsibility to help the business thrive by building and launching exciting cruises. Each turn, you will deploy one of your workers to take 2 actions. Acquire new blueprints with activities to suit those seeking adventure, relaxation, or family fun. Or purchase supplies needed to launch your cruises. Invent new technologies for ongoing benefits. Or work to affect markets of resources and special agendas. Build developments between departments to increase your action selection each turn. Install segments into your shuttle and acquire a new shuttle. Or schedule and advertise a cruise to attract the right guests. When your resources are ready, launch a shuttle and reap the rewards. Pilot your shuttle and track your cruise's journey while gaining bonuses and unlocking upgrades. Track your progress as you launch and accomplish the company's goals. Be the most successful supervisor and earn the coveted title of CEO of Galactic Cruise. Well, the stars wait for no one, so let's get to work.
I mean, I think it's clear that if your sweet spot is crunchy Euro games with like cool themes, but crunchy Euro games, this is your easy choice of the month. Now, I have a lot of Euro games, and I love Euro games, but I don't just enjoy Euro games, and I think because my collection and things that I enjoy, seeing how other types of games fit in with like family and other situations, that I try not to overdo, but I mean, this looks terrific. And if you've been paying attention, people that have gotten their hands on this game or know about the development of this game seem to be really excited about it. So let's real quickly look at there's some important things, and I'm actually going to start with the artist, Ian O'Toole. Remember how I mentioned there's one of those artists that actually just makes me interested to look closer at a game. And I cannot speak with enough experience on Lacerda games, but you see the Lacerda games come up at the top of this list. But lots of other really cool games that Ian O'Toole's been a part of when it comes to art. The volume, I mean, it's just kind of amazing. So anyway, that's just the first page. There's lots more. So thanks to Ian O'Toole. So here we go. We have developer number 1, TK King. Not familiar, although I've heard of TK King, although it might just be because that this game was coming out. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Then we have Dennis Northcutt. Same thing, just this game. And Colton Thompson. Pretty much same thing this game. I don't know what this Deliverus is that they must have worked together on. So not necessarily like a huge proven track record, at least that I can tell from the designer end, definitely from the artist end. Kinson Key Games. But look at the weight. This is an estimate. It's early. Mostly meaningless, but it does sort of at least tell us, okay, this is a crunchy Euro game at this point. 90 to 150 minutes is soloable. Action, let's see. I think worker placement, worker action, worker movement. I want to say it has something to do with like you get an action when you place a worker. There might also be actions when you remove the worker. I can't remember exactly. I have done a little bit of reading before the campaign launched, but okay, so the CEO, here's the like in the weeds in terms of the theme of the game. Founder and CEO of Galactic Cruise is retiring in 3 years. So one of the supervisors is going to have to step up and take his place. Could it be you? Visual overview and game setup. By the way, we saw that the very top, $89 starting at. So I'm curious, like what there are going to be different versions. All right, so we're getting blueprints to build the blueprints into our shuttles that I assume will give us more points, or different things will happen once we actually launch the shuttle. Interact with markets of resources, special agents, build developments between departments to increase your action selection, schedule and advertise a cruise to attract the right guests, launch a shuttle, and then reap the rewards. So the things that you've built into the shuttle, it seems to me, affects what type of rewards you have when it does take its cruise. Track your cruise's journey while gaining bonuses and unlocking upgrades. Accomplish the company's goals, outperform your opponents. So here's some playthroughs, tutorials, gameplay. Here's a preview of the rule book, reference book, player aid. You can play it on both Tabletop Simulator and Tabletopia. By the way, this is fantastic. I haven't myself waded into the Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia waters very much, but I love that this option exists, because then you get more people giving feedback to the gameplay, the mechanics, from trying it out on these simulators. All right, here we go. Pledge levels. A promising supervisor pledge for $89. You get the base game. We're talking about $15 more gives you advancements. So this is an expansion. Advancements, expansion. Or for the same price, instead of the advancements expansion, you can get the base game and the accommodations expansion. Or for $119, you can get all three. $129 gives you all three, the base game, 2 expansions, and deluxe bits. This is where most of the pledges are going to be. They also do have, wow, revered investor. I have not seen a company offer this since I've been tracking it, but I believe that there's some really amazing deals back in the day that were gotten with some company that offered this on early Kickstarters or whatever. But you'll receive all future Kensen Key Games releases, including all upcoming games and expansions. You'll be responsible for shipping. That's so interesting. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty safe bet they're going to be successful with this one. How many games do they have in them? Will they have the same success on future games? I mean, that's a gamble. It's probably not something I would do, but it's very possible that that's going to end up being a really good deal. What's the prototype? Oh, that's cool. I've actually not seen that done, and I think it's an opportunity. Now, it's a lot of money, but if you want to get the prototype that the content creators are getting, and you get it 1 month after the campaign, that's kind of interesting. And then board of directors actually allows you to become a board member, which includes getting your name and going to some retreat or convention. All right, game trays. Okay, those look cool. anything to help organize something that's with this many bits and moving parts, I am all for. And those look like very nice game trays. Here's some other game trays. Those look great as well. The bridge deck. So this is base game components. Main board, marketing board, first player token, consultants, VP trackers, resource trackers, workers, 4-player boards. I just had this awful fear that I was still muted from when I had to take my bio break. By the way, I had been drinking coffee and water all morning working on content, and that's why I was doing a little dance there while talking about Floe. Okay, more components. This is just the base components. What I want to know a little bit about before we start heading towards wrapping up is, what are those expansions about? Blueprint tiles, engine tiles, add tokens. This game is so crunchy. I can just tell. Okay, the advancement expansion. Several modules which may be played individually or in any combination with one another. And most of the accommodations expansion. It says most. That's weird. Cabin matching module. This replaces the base game blueprints. It makes the cabins a little more complicated, it looks like. That's interesting. Advanced technology tiles. So the technology tile now has its own track included, where the base game technology tiles, it sounds like you just, you get it or you don't kind of thing. So it becomes more powerful the higher in the track. Advanced locations module. It upgrades the locations throughout the game when a certain number of developments have been built. Okay, that's cool. And more. There's new arena cards, upgrade tokens, new cockpit and engine tile, 2 new expert worker tiles, go forth, innovators, and advance. Then the accommodations, expansion. Several modules can be played individually or any combination with one another, and most of the advancement expansion modules. So 48 blueprint tiles. This is why it says most, because you probably replace with either this or the other blueprint modules. Wow. That feels like that would increase the complexity. A lot of these modules do clear, it's not just a little more going on, it's a little more complexity. Wow. I don't know. The first expansion seemed like it might have been, if you were going to choose one or the other, I don't know. They both, again, are serving a similar purpose in my mind, just adding a little complexity, a little more variety. Kinson Games. No, Kinson Key Games. All right, solo preview. First impressions preview. Is that still solo or just, I guess it is. Preview and reviews, space vacation. Do we know shipping? Oh, okay, here we go. All right. Pretty reasonable shipping price if you live on the 48 continental US. Not if you're in Alaska or Hawaii. I don't know why the rest of the world would be that much of an upgrade in price. There's probably just something I don't understand about shipping to the rest of the world, but all right. Estimated timeline, February of 2025. That would be a quick turnaround, but This is a pretty focused project. Somehow I think that's more realistic than a lot of projects, but okay. One of my favorite designers says Galactic Cruise is a true masterpiece and labor of love from this talented group of designers. Yeah, I would put that at top of my page too. Shim Phillips. Okay. As I was saying in the beginning, like, there are some ways in which this seems like the easy choice if you're really into Euro games, or if it's just kind of like safest bet on something that's going to be really solid, a really solid, crunchy experience. I don't know. Like, I mean, my son can go just as heavy and crunchy as I can, if not more so. This one might be pushing the limits for me. I mean, it would just take a lot. I mean, not that I couldn't do it, but it would take a little more effort than most of the Euro games that I play to probably wrap my mind around. Not that it's a lifestyle game, I wouldn't say, but it's going to be, you're going to really need to dig in. I would need to dig in. There's enough complexity here that it's going to take a few plays, not just to learn the rules, but for me to start to like understand how to approach this. But it does have solo, so that is something that's available. So, okay, how do we wrap this up? We've spent over an hour together. Again, I don't know what the value is other than just like, I just have another voice out in the world that is fascinated by these crowdfunding projects, board games in general. I really, at this point, cannot tell you, if I end up backing a game in March, which one I would be most likely to back. Dying Light is way more a part of the discussion than I expected it to be. I do not have many, if any, games like that, although I did back Nemesis last year. And I do think there's at least enough similarity there that once I have Nemesis, I wouldn't be able to say that I don't have anything like that. Because I think that sort of, action-packed, dice rolling, I mean, that, I don't know. I haven't played either one of those games, so I don't know why I'm thinking I can make a fair comparison, but who knows? Floe, I've just had my eye on Floe for so long. I've been excited about it. And I'm still excited about it, although it's not the slam dunk that I might have thought it would have been for me. And I'm not sure if I can even articulate why that is. I think graphically, art-wise, it looks awesome. I'm not too put off by how spread out it is. It feels very like and the kitchen sink kind of game that you've probably heard other people say about it. That's okay. Like I said, Endless Winter. I feel that way about Endless Winter to a degree, especially when you start throwing in modules. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I still have a lot of fun with Endless Winter, but I don't know how light Floe's going to be. This might be a little on the light side. And yet a little too much. Not that it's not light, but a little too much to play with the people that I would typically play a lighter game with, if that makes sense. So I've just got some thinking to do with Floe. And then Galactic Cruise, Galactic Cruise is an interesting one. I think I've said enough about Galactic Cruise. I think it's a safe bet, especially if you want to get the one that seems like it's got the most promise as being like a really solid Euro game. That's how I felt about Unconscious Mind. And I get similar vibes, not in comparing mechanics or even the weight or anything like that. I'm just saying solid Euro crowdfunding project. It's what I thought about Unconscious Mind. Is what I think about Galactic Cruise. Pretty safe bet that you're going to end up with a really quality, high quality, fun board game. Might be a good fit for you, might not be, but like objectively a good product. Okay. Wow. That was fun for me. Was that fun for you? What are you backing in March, if anything? And please share why, if you have the time and desire to do so. What do you think about this? Trying to do something a little different, but yet at the same time is fun for me. I don't know exactly what I'm even going to call this marathon of a video. And we are coming up to an hour and 10 minutes, so I need to wrap up because that was the goal. Board game crowdfunding decisions for March. I don't know. I just want this to be a conversation. But as always, I really appreciate the support. Thank you for being here. For any feedback, criticisms, or whatever you have, please feel free. But thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody.